beginning with today's lesson. Today we're going to be talking about confidence. We're going to be talking about confidence and how that's different from cockiness. We're going to be talking about what most guys get wrong about confidence. And we're going to be talking about how you can actually fix your issues with confidence and actually start living more confidently and speaking with women more confidently. Does that sound good? So the first thing that you need to know about confidence, because this is a thing that you hear all the time, right? You always hear guys talking about it like, oh, how can I get better with women? Oh, just be confident. Women love confident guys. Okay, what the hell does that mean? Well, let me tell you something. When I was like 20, 21, I kept getting that same advice and I was trying it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be confident. So I went out and I acted like an absolute asshole. And it didn't work at all because I was trying to emulate what felt like confidence in my head. I was trying to copy what other guys were doing. I was trying to be confident in being someone else's version of confident. And it doesn't work at all to do things like that. And so instead, what I decided to do is I kind of just gave up on that thing entirely. And I started just living life my own way. And I just said, fuck it. You know, like these other guys, they don't know what they're talking about. They're all just full of shit. And I had no game. I had no game at all. I had no idea what I was doing. And so predictably, I was not terrifically good at it. But what happened is I started to actually just live the way that I wanted to live and tell everybody else to just fuck right off if they didn't like it. And it turns out that was actually the confidence that I needed from the get-go. And so one of the biggest differences between confidence and cockiness is that some people, if you're cocky, then you'll say things. You'll say things sometimes over the top things, or you'll lie, or you'll make things up, and you'll brag and stuff like that. And that's cocky. That's not real. It's not genuine, and it doesn't come from a place of security, of confidence. It's actually the opposite. It comes from a place of insecurity. So imagine a guy at a bar who's saying like, oh yeah, I have the biggest dick ever. Yeah, I'm gonna fuck your mom 6 ways from Sunday, or something like that. Look, that's not coming from a place of he actually has a big dick. It's coming from a place of I don't really feel very confident about myself, and so I'm gonna overcompensate by trying to throw out these other things and try to make myself seem like I'm confident, but actually I'm not. And the fact is that people can smell that from a long way away. People can smell real versus fake. And this is one of the biggest things that most guys get wrong about confidence. And so I'm going to be kind of going back and forth on these two topics because they're so tightly interwoven. The idea of trying to create a fake version in your head, living a fake life, or showing off fake things, or even just bragging entirely, unless you're in some sort of a particular social situation where somebody's saying like, tell me about your greatest accomplishment or something that you're most proud of. Or if you're trading stories with your buddies, then that is a place where you can kind of brag. And not only that, but you're encouraged to, because let's not lie, whenever you're telling stories, you're trading stories with your buddies, like you're meant to be bragging, you're meant to be embellishing the story a little bit to make it more interesting. You're meant to be telling things in a more entertaining way rather than more factual. And so that's a different situation. But even then, you still need to be coming in with a base level of confidence to back up the braggadocious attitude that can come off as cocky. Now, whenever you're trying to figure out how can I act confidently but not be cocky, and I remember reading this when I was younger, when I was around that same age, is that girls like confident but not cocky. Okay, what does that even mean? What does that mean? Like, I understand what both of the words mean, but what does that mean in practice? What does that mean? And what I figured out was that the biggest difference between the two is basically just that that you have to be real And so congruence is a topic that I've talked about a lot of times before, and I don't have time to do a full lesson on it here, but I can give you just a quick little breakdown. And basically the idea of congruence is that you're the same on the inside as you appear on the outside, that your actions match your words and your obvious thoughts. Because again, people can sense when something is off. And so to develop a sense of confidence, you have to first figure out who you are. You have to really nail down what it is about yourself that you like or don't like, and then all of it, just as a total package. Just fucking own it. Just own every single bit of it. So here's a perfect example. A lot of guys have actually asked me about this, and some guys even make fun of me for it, and some girls do too. They've asked me about how I'm able to be so successful with women, even when I've got a beer belly. And like, guys, I'm not joking. Like, I got a pretty chunky beer belly, and I've lost a lot of it since the start of this year, even. So it was even bigger than that for basically my entire dating career. And how do you go about picking up women and getting them to actually like you and be attracted to you when you're walking around with not a six-pack, but a keg instead? And the reality is that, like, you just have to own it. You either fix it or you own it. It's one of the two. And since I didn't have the time or inclination really to fix it, I had to own it. So that means that whenever I'm talking to a girl, I can even make jokes about it. I could like say, oh yeah, Christmas is coming soon, so I'm going to have to put on my red suit and go be Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. Right. And they laugh at it. And it's like, okay, cool. You address the elephant in the room. So now I don't have to think about it. I don't have to pay attention to it. And that's one of those things that when you do that, that demonstrates confidence, but not cockiness, because you're comfortable in yourself. In this case, in your physical body, right? Like you're saying, yeah, this is my body. This is who I am. And not only that, but I fucking love it, guys. So when you're able to completely own something that otherwise people might feel is a negative or is embarrassing, that is a true demonstration of confidence. And the same can be true for anything else, for personality quirks, or for maybe you have like a speech tic or something. Maybe you stutter. Make fun of yourself, right? Make it a joke that you're in on. Because if you're not in on the joke, then the jokes are still going to be made anyway, but you just won't be in on it. But bringing yourself into the joke and saying, yeah, I know, it's a thing. It just is what it is. It demonstrates pure confidence, because you're not walking around with a perfect body and you're not saying the perfect thing every single time, but you shouldn't be expected to. And so whenever that happens, you just say, yeah, this is what it is. There have been a lot of times that I've gone up to do an approach and I've flubbed over my words and like, you know what? Hold on. That did not come out the way I intended. Let's rewind and I'm going to try this again. And then I'll make a show of like, and then walk back up again and redo the same approach the same way. And you know what happens? It gets a laugh every single time. Why? Because it's demonstrating confidence. It's demonstrating ownership of the mistake. You're saying, yeah, so I walked up and I tried to talk to you. It didn't go well. I'm going to try that one more time. Okay. Just be patient with me here. And then you own it and lean into it a bit more. That shows that you're comfortable in not only your good qualities, but also in your mistakes and even in your negative qualities. And that's true confidence. Confidence is understanding who you are, being comfortable in your own skin, and being able to own it and use that to great effect. So, how can you start to develop that level of confidence, or that attitude, that true self-belief, instead of just being cocky or trying to fake it till you make it? And real quick, let me just address that thing. Fake it till you make it is it can be good advice, but one thing that I would caution you against is if you're using that to as a confidence building exercise, as in I'm going to start acting more confident than I am so that I can develop that confidence, then that's a good thing because you're getting there, right? You're kind of pushing yourself more towards it, and that's fine. Same thing if you're like, I don't feel comfortable approaching women, but I'm going to push through it and act like I'm comfortable approaching women because I feel like this is going to help me mentally get to the next step. Great, that's fine. But one thing I would caution you on is to not be fake to the women you're talking to. Don't lie. Don't pretend that you're doing things that you're not. Don't pretend that you are a different person than you're not. Don't do that stuff, but instead, just use it in your own head. Because if you start to try to fake things in conversations, if you try to pretend that you're someone you're not, if you try to act like something else, they can smell that. And everybody can tell when something is not quite right. Even if the words sound good and everything looks good, but they can tell something's not right, then that's when people get this awkward feeling. They're like, I don't think that this is a good idea. That brings you closer to like a sleazy marketer or like a salesman trying to pretend, yeah, listen, I truly believe in these vacuum cleaners that I'm selling or these encyclopedia sets or whatever it is, right? And it comes off as that fake kind of slimy, sleazy thing. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of, especially guys in like the PUA community, they get a lot of hate, and it's because they use these different tricks and tactics and fakeries to try to pretend something that isn't real. And even if it can work in the moment, like, I mean, sales obviously work, otherwise those jobs wouldn't exist. But even though it might work in the moment, it doesn't really work long term, and you don't, for the sake of maintaining the analogy here, you don't get repeat business. So if you want to be talking to these girls more than once, if you want to actually start to develop higher quality relationships instead of these low quality one night stands with random hoes and then you just never speak again, then you can't be faking it. You have to actually be a little bit more real. You have to be honest. You have to be a little more vulnerable and open about these things. And so leading right back in, that is exactly how you start to develop this confidence, is because you can be open, you can be vulnerable about things, but you have to first start to be open and vulnerable with yourself. And I know that might sound like some solipsistic, hippy-dippy pseudoscience bullshit, but just hear me out for a second, because actually having a conversation with yourself and figuring out what's going on in your head, what it is that you actually want, what it is that you're actually trying to get, this is going to be really important for you. If you don't know what you're trying to do, if you don't know where you're going, what you're trying to achieve, then you're like a ship out at sea, but just without a rudder. And so you're just going wherever the wind blows you. Oh, I guess we're going that way. Okay, well, I think we're going that way. And that's never going to actually get you to where you want to be, or to get the things that you want to get out of life or out of your relationships with women. And so you really need to sit down with yourself and figure it out. And this isn't like a 5-minute conversation. How long it takes for you to get these things sorted out in your head and actually be honest with yourself can take varying amounts of time. I mean, for me, it took probably a few years to like really figure it out. But I also didn't have somebody like myself, like kind of giving this advice and say, okay, now let's actually sit down and nail down what it is. What are you looking for and why? So like really tell me, because, okay, you're looking for quick, easy sex. Why? Because you like the feeling. Okay. All right. Well, that's something. But is this what you like really want long term, or are you trying to get some more experience, or do you want to better understand women, or are you hoping that one of these might lead into a more serious relationship? What is it that you're actually going for here? Okay, these are questions that I didn't know to ask myself when I was first getting started with this stuff. And Now it's something that I always use with my clients whenever I'm coaching guys. The first thing we do, the very first thing we do is we always sit down and we nail out like, okay, what are your goals? What types of girls are you looking for? What type of relationship are you looking for? Why? Tell me more. Why? Let's try to dig deep a little bit and let's understand this, because once we understand it, good. Now we can actually filter out all the bullshit that we don't need, because now we're building a rudder for our ship and we know where we're going. And you know what happens? Once you realize where you're going and what your plan is to get there, confidence becomes natural, because you've already accepted who you are, what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you're going for, and how you're going to get there. And so anything else, anything extraneous is just bullshit that you don't need. That's why whenever you see guys who seem just ultimately confident, they can go up to a girl, approach a girl, and she's like, oh, no thanks. And they brush it off like water off a duck. And any guy who's been out approaching with me, whether I was coaching you or if you were just hanging out with me, if you ever saw me do an approach, you probably saw me get blown out. And do you know what? It doesn't ever bother me. It really doesn't bother me anymore. Why? Because those girls are filtering themselves out for me. They're saving me the trouble. I'm perfectly confident in myself and who I am and where I'm going and what I'm going for. So if they are filtering themselves out, if they're saving me the time and the energy, perfect. Awesome. Same thing goes the other way. Sometimes I'll approach a girl, we'll start talking, and I'll feel like, now, you know what? This isn't it. I'm not that interested. I don't really want to pursue this. And so I'll say, you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, but I have to get back with my friends. So have a great day, and I'll catch you later. High five. And I will next them. That happens just as frequently as me getting completely blown out. I know that might sound a little bit difficult to believe, especially for you younger guys or guys who are just getting started in game. But this is actually fairly common once you figure out what your frame is, what your goal is, what it is that you're looking for, and how you're planning to get there. Because once you have that sorted out, none of the other stuff matters. It's all just a waste of time. And that is one of the biggest things that will help you to develop true confidence on the inside. You need to sit down with yourself, figure out, first of all, who you are, your good qualities, your bad qualities, all of it. And then figure out what you want to change, commit to changing it if you're going to change it. Otherwise, just accept it as it is and completely own it. Don't just accept that it's there, but own it. Make it a part of who you are. Make it a part of your character. Whenever we go out, and it doesn't matter where, even here, like I'm sitting at home in my apartment and I'm recording for you guys. It's literally just me. I'm probably about 90% real right now, because there's still a little bit of a persona that you have to put on, right? You put on a little bit of a mask in different situations. In this particular situation, I'm having to put on a little bit of a mask that I want to talk a lot more than I actually do, because I'm trying to explain these things to you guys in a way that'll make sense, that you'll be able to actually take and apply in the real world. But in reality, what I would love to do is I would love to say, okay, here's your problem, do this thing. And then that would kind of be it, right? I'm a little bit more direct and to the point in that way. But for the case of this live stream, I still need to put on some sort of a mask to do that. However, it's still taking full ownership of all of myself, and I'm still perfectly confident in that situation, because I have to put on a different part of myself, if that makes sense. You're never truly 100% yourself, except maybe when you're just totally alone. And even then, not really, because there's a different part of yourself that's the part of you that comes out whenever you're in a social situation. When you're with your friends, it's different than when you're with your girl, which is different than when you're with your mom, which is different than when you're with your boss or whatever. So you're never truly 100% yourself, but you need to take stock of all those different aspects of yourself, and you need to figure out which parts of these do I love? Which parts of these should I really lean into? And should I be showing off a little bit? Not cocky, but be comfortable in presenting that as part of my public persona. And then figure out the parts that you don't like, the parts that you're not in love with, and either commit to changing them, decide to change them, or completely own them and make it a part of who you are and what you do. So if you can do those things, then you will start to develop real confidence in yourself, and that will exude whenever you're out talking to people, whenever you're having conversations with girls, whenever you're approaching them on the street. They can smell confidence just like they can smell fakery. So figure out who you are, figure out what's going on in your life, and figure out how to own every aspect of yourself. Now, that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap up the lesson for today, but we're about to jump into the Q&A portion of this. For you guys watching this on YouTube or any other replay platform, you'll be able to see up until the end of the lesson. The Q&A is locked behind the community section. So if you'd like to join our community, please click the links below. That's where you'll be able to talk to me, talk to the other guys. That's where you'll be able to ask your questions, get your answers there. You can make requests for video topics, and I make those weekly as well. So anything that you want, or if you just want advice, you just want to chat with guys, you just want to have some camaraderie so that you're not going through it alone, join the community, because this is the best place for it. And with that, I'm going to wish you guys on YouTube a goodbye.